All right, so the second part, how to build vulnerability and trust within your team. I think the quintessential element to leadership is being completely transparent. In order for someone to trust you, they have to know that you're going to be honest with them. I think that's just the first step. It's pretty self-explanatory. But if you're going to build trust in a relationship, honesty is the first and most important key element. And I see so often it's like, well, there is a need to know basis. Unless this is something that is very sensitive from an HR standpoint, human relations, or if it has some type of legal or sensitivity that cannot be broadcasted because you're public traded and there is SEC guidelines or something to that regard, or it's a legal litigation process that you're going through and you just cannot open or disclose, then there shouldn't be secrets from your team. It is very important to educate and let your team in on what's going on. Many of you, if you watch the episode that I've had with Casey, who runs Gift Card Flip, her business, and in a unique situation, we're going through and designing models for. We're laying out, here is how that you build brand value in your company. Here's how you scale that brand value. And ultimately, here's how you perfect the model if you want to franchise that model. But right now, they're looking at peeling apart everything in the brick and mortar locations that they have, and they are designating where specific actions can be taken to start to perfect that model. So that's from branding to operations to execution to your systems to your tools to your org structure to your labor model to your compensation model, everything. You peel it all apart. As we're going through that, there's a situation that came up. And Casey and I are discussing this, and we were discussing the direction or the stance that should be taken from a labor capacity to look at a leverage point to be able to help the financial overall strength of the company. And within that, I shared, here's the 2 to 3 things you can do. If you want to be a single unit business owner and you want to go in and you want to run that, then you could leverage your labor in this capacity and be able to drive overall conversion in that way. Or you can go to your team and you can leverage with them and say, here's where we're at. Here's where the company is. Here's where our revenue is. We need to be able to grow incrementally. Or this is what the future of our company could look like. We're on this trend, this pathway, but we have the opportunity to change it. So as a leader, you can keep that to yourself, build all these different visions and strategies and objectives, continue to keep your team in the dark, and then build more stress and pressure as you apply that to your team in an everyday approach to try to move the needle on the numbers that you need. Or you can go to your team and you can explain where you're at. You can lay out the process and the steps of your ideology that you believe is going to help get to where the company needs to be. And then you can empower the team to be a part of the solution. That vulnerability opens up immediately and it creates value for your team members. The team member believes at that point, yes, they understand the situation. If you are in that situation of the example I'm explaining to you, then you're going to have that kind of pressure and stress on your team member regardless. Your team members know more about what's going on than what you believe they do. And in those situations, if you are transparent and honest with them, and you go through that, and you reach the success, and you reward them for their process and that shared fate approach, you have built so much credibility and trust. Because it is natural for us to say, believe in me, Just be honest with me. Tell me what's going on and allow me to control my own destiny. Give me the feedback in real time. Help me be able to grow. Leaders do not do their team members any favors by not being transparent and honest when it comes to areas that they need to grow, areas that they can be challenged. So let's peel this apart. Here's 2 examples of what that could look like. One, you're a leader that's been asking your team many different occasions, many different situations to go achieve something, and they're not quite getting it done. Through that, you are a leader that wants to be the cheerleader. You want to focus in and reward them and incentivize them to go hit revenue goals, incentivize them to hit labor goals, and build this culture to where if you do your job and create your job, the success within it, you're going to be incentivized for every single little action that you do. And your team is still going to say, we don't feel like that we are awarded or rewarded. We don't feel like that we're getting the appreciation of the work that we're doing. And most importantly, they are not going to believe, see, or be able to truly showcase that they have been developed or that they're being mentored. Second example, you're working with your team. You are congratulating them and appreciating them for the work they do. When they get down on themselves, you are the one that picks them up and says, I know you can do this. I am not going to let you quit on yourself. But you continue to challenge them and give them things that makes them feel uncomfortable. You push them outside their comfort zones. You challenge their preconceived notions. And then you challenge the work that they bring on every single day of their ideas and their process. And you ask this through questioning of what is your goal? What's your strategy? What are your objectives? How do you want to achieve this? And through this, you build common accountability. And the reason I call it this common connection of accountability is because as a leader, you're no longer setting the expectation on someone. You are asking them, what are your expectations? What do you want to achieve through this? You have a vision, you have a strategy, you have objectives, you have a career path that you want to be able to be successful in. You have this place and this title and this role that you want to achieve in a year or two. We are building a shared connection based on what you are telling me that you want to achieve. Now, as a leader, I am going to hold you accountable to what you said you want to accomplish. So I'm not dictating to my team member what it is truly of how they're going to go about this process. It may be something as you're an operational leader and you need to be able to grow your revenue by 10%. So as a leader, I've set the overarching expectations or KPIs or budget process or whatever it is that we're discussing. Within that, this leader now says, I'm going to grow and get to that 10%, and here's how I'm going to go after that. So now what I'm doing is instead of going through and micromanaging the process or getting involved or second guessing and questioning, I create stage gates, checkpoints, to where we can sit down and look at, are you on the path that you truly want to be on? Are you seeing the success, and do the numbers and does the movement, do the KPIs, do the trends fully realize and describe what you believe success to be? And if you're on the right trend, then at that point, this is great. Now, what are some of the things that you see within this that are patterns that you believe you can enhance it and push it even faster? If it is not being accomplished through the objectives and the numbers, now it's time to lead to say, what are you going to do about that? You're the leader. I believe in you. I trust you. but we need to see impact and change. So what steps of actions are you taking? What are you seeing in your trends? What are some of the different point of views, or how are you thinking about this, that's going to allow you to change the outcome? And when do you start to see that? So in this particular example, if they want to see a 10% increase in revenue, we're halfway through the year and we're on a trend to 7%. That means the second half, you're going to have to make up that additional 3%. So the original plan is no longer going to work. So at that point, there's questions. What category specifically are you looking at? If you're in a product management type business, if you're in a service business, how are you getting more leads? How do you get more clients? Who are you connecting with? Where's your conversion that you're going to change? If you're in a product business, what categories, subcategories, which items? What seasonal shift? What's going to come up in Q3 versus Q4? Where's your revenue growth going to come from? And then you pinpoint, break that down, dissect it, and then detail that out. Now, how are you taking this new plan and communication to your team? How are you communicating the urgency to make up the 3% in this example? All of these things of connective leadership is to work with and through your leader versus at them. So if you want to develop and mentor someone, I can work with someone and say, all right, operation. Here's the first thing you want to do. Vision, strategy, objectives, measurables, deliverables, KPIs, timeline, roadmap, frequency. Here, go do all that. Now I'm going to build you a business plan. Here's how you evaluate everything. If you're going in, here's your state of the state. Here's your executive summary. Then you want to go through your financials. Now you want to lay out what your actions are. You want to detail this out through a timeline. You want to set clear objectives within those measurables and how it's going to look like that and what actions you're taking to be able to get there and all the steps, and that's just knowledge. And then I may say I would take these categories. You're seeing gaps in this particular area. You could drive another 20% in revenue in these bottom 50 locations. Here's your overall blended margin erosion that you did from whatever promotional strategy you did and you didn't think that through. So now you need to revise your entire plan. Here's how you lay that out. Here's the structural. This is all knowledge at your leader. If you want to develop someone, you can't just spew knowledge at them. You give them the knowledge and success so that they say to themselves, I understand the expectations. I've been shown how to do this. I don't have questions about what it is that I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to achieve it. I know I'm fully empowered and fully have the autonomy to take this. And I also have full responsibility and accountability of all actions and anything as far as what the desired goals or achievements or the end result's going to be. As a leader, you step in at that point and you start developing now. They have the list of all the things they need to go do. It's not a checklist. The development is, how do I actually apply this knowledge? So knowledge is training. If you train someone, you just give them the knowledge of how to do something. That knowledge must continue to be developed. That development comes in from working that knowledge. All right, you know that you've built a vision. Let's develop that vision clearer. Is it too complex? Anyone that creates a mission statement, it's like 4 paragraphs long, and they want to tell their entire story behind it. If you can't explain to somebody what your company, your brand, your mantra, your mission, your purpose is, in literally one sentence, and so hard-hitting that they absolutely get it, they believe you, and they are completely inspired by what you say, then you don't have the right mission statement. It's clear, it's simple. If you're running a restaurant industry and you want to create, we're going to have the best quality food, we're going to break this down, this is what service is going to be, and our hospitality is going to be this, you're going to lose people. Keep it simple. People, food. We're going to deliver amazing food, and we're going to do it through incredible people. Simple. You want to keep your vision, your strategy simple. Now you want to measure to that. So in this situation, if you're developing someone, you tie them back constantly to what is it that you had as a purpose, a goal, vision, strategy. What was your strategy? Where did you deviate? Where are the obstacles and challenges? And let's get you back on course. But through that, you need to share through transparency and vulnerability. You know what? I've been there. I know. I can see exactly why you went down that path. It's very clear. Like you drove this. You've seen a path. You believe you could cut 2 to 3 months off of your overall growth strategy that you have. You thought these particular products, or there's a seasonality thing that came up, and you believe, oh, I could really go after this and I could shorten my time span. You ran a promotion that was 20% off and cost you $1 million in margin erosion, and you didn't offset it through your blend of your overall margin in your category. So now you're down $1 million and you need to make that up. It could be anything. So the lesson at first is, okay, let's sit down and let me explain to you all the things that I have done in my career, and let me help you, because there needs to be relatability in that moment. And then after the relatability, there needs to be a connection to, now I'm going to show you how to fix what you've done, what the lesson is that you're learning, and that it's not going to be something that leaves a binding scar. And then from there, that transparency, that honesty can now lead into mentorship. Because once somebody knows you have their back, they believe in you, you have built credibility time after time after time, you've developed their knowledge that you've taught them. Now they come to you and they ask your advice, your guidance. And the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's a psychological study that breaks down and basically explains this in the most simplest way. Those who have the most knowledge, the most experience, those that someone would say they are an expert, are the most humble and truly believe they don't have anything figured out, because there's just so much to learn. But those who have the least amount of experience and the least amount of knowledge have the most arrogant approach and believe that they are the expert in that particular realm. And that is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm going to utilize this to carry this over into the third topic here in a moment, but I'm going to take a quick break.